My mother spills stories at the dinner table, a loud cacophony of interjection and speculation, of stories passed down from generation to generation. My father says, "Our family has no secrets. So like the child I was, so too did my stories spill forward, rowdy fights at the primary school cafeteria and shy crushes with blushes and darting eyes I thought only I could see. My love knows no bounds in our family, my mouth a lock, my parents the key. My mother points fingers at me over lunch, face red, words heavy. My father is not around to stop her, and so she tells me she had no choice. My password the key, my secrets laid bare on the dining table, an afternoon special. She looks at me. Did you try to kill yourself? I say, Mom, looking at you is like staring down the barrel of a gun. I am the gun, my finger on the trigger, my hands shake with its weight, but every chamber is empty. I can't kill me, even if I wanted to. I close the door shut behind me. I throw away the key. Filial piety is a locked door. Filial piety is the door. Maybe this is why I still keep coming home, even after the word turns jagged and sharp, even after it stops fitting right in my mouth. I come back home for a visit when I'm cornered in the car, evidence in hand, a weapon pressed against my neck, my parents the knife, my mouth an open wound. Our family has no secrets. My love knows no bounds. Home is the ghost that haunts me. In the aftermath of a car crash only I can see. Home is the ghost, home is the car crash, a flight ticket long overdue. I leave home for the first time, but why does it feel like I'm already gone? Why does everything I yearn for that is out of my reach never come home to me? I spill stories at the dinner table. A loud cacophony of interjection and speculation, of stories passed down from generation to generation. My father says, "Our family has no secrets. Our love knows no bounds." 1. In the face of mass destruction, how many of us turn to companionship? 2. My third poem about soulmates this week says more about my fear of dying alone than how much I believe in soulmates. 3. My dad gets sick and I swipe through Tinder as my mom drives him to the hospital. His test results come back negative. I cry anyway. 4. We matched the night before lockdown. Now I can't imagine falling asleep without hearing you say goodnight. 5. Funny how driving us apart brought us together. Funny how we might never meet after this is over. 6. I turn my volume up to max when we call so I can hear your laugh ringing through my earphones. It's the closest I can get to having you next to me. 7. I don't know what it's like to have you next to me. 8. I can almost see your smile from kilometers away. 9. Sometimes my hands itch to hold you, to cart my fingers through your hair. Instead, I learn every song from your playlist on the guitar and strum till I stop thinking about you. 10. My fingers have been hurting for days. 11. When you hear me sing through your speakers, does it bring you comfort? 12. I don't pretend this all means we'll see each other on the other side. 13. In the face of mass destruction, how many of us turn to love?
Welcome back to Knots FM, everyone. I'm here with Amanda from Lads. She is the head of talent. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay,
Hi.
good. You see, I am a well-researched host, and
well-researched. And you don't fucking just talk to me every day. That's your research.
okay. So once again, welcome back to Knots FM X Lads. This is the 3rd episode, and we interviewed Sheena and Akhil in the previous 2 episodes. Please do check them out. But yeah, Amanda just read some poetry, as I'm sure you've heard before this. So yeah, talk to us a little bit about the poetry and the message and the meaning?
Oh god, that's such a loaded fucking question. Am I allowed to swear?
You can swear, dude.
Oh, okay.
It's my fucking show. Come on, swear.
Okay, I can't tell my mom I'm doing a podcast episode. Okay, loaded question. Let's start with the first one. So the first one is another reason why my mom can't see this episode.
Oops. Okay.
So doesn't have a title, but I guess if I would describe it, it's kind of painting a picture of like intergenerational trauma and how like the cycle can just repeat itself so easily. You know, like the first paragraph that I read in the beginning was about my mom and what she does in our family, and then at the end it's the exact same paragraph, but it's me doing the things instead. I guess it kind of reflects that fear of mine that I'm gonna end up just like my parents, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it's not necessarily a good thing either. You know, when you grow up in like an Asian household, that's like, okay, I don't hate my parents, but I also cannot stand being around them, that kind of feeling. And I just kind of wanted to reflect that, especially after, you know, moving out and quote unquote spreading my wings. It's given me more time to kind of reflect on my relationship with home and with the word home, what it means, and family. I think one of my biggest issues with like one of my big struggles in moving out and giving myself like philosophical crisis was I wouldn't know what to say when I was going back. Okay. Like when I would be coming back to my dorms, I wouldn't know what to say. I wouldn't know whether I should say I'm going home or I'm going to my dorm. I'm going to campus.
Going to my room?
Yeah, going to my room. And when I'm going back to my parents' house, the instinct is to say home, but then it's like I'm barely there anymore. I'm on campus more than I am with my parents. So is it really still home? And then I threw myself into a loop and I was like, you know what, I'm gonna put that on the shelf and not think about it. And then everything came out in spoken word night. Shout out to Miss Sheena for being
legend.
Yes, the legend, for being such a great host and mentor, and somehow I managed to like get this poem out of me, so it's out there now. Good. On the long list of poems that my parents can never hear ever.
An ever-growing list.
Ever-growing. First one was like my poem about like mental illness, and then my parents ended up hearing that one. I was like, oh well. And then the next one was about like me coming out as like queer, and I was like, whoops, they can't hear that one. And now this is like, add another one to the list.
Okay. I hope this isn't a sensitive question, but did you write this poem at I'm not going to call it home, I'm going to call it your parents' house versus campus? Like, where did you write it?
I wrote this... it was a bit of so the workshops for spoken word night, because like I mentioned, I wrote this for spoken word night, which happened a while ago. Everyone already had a poem draft submitted, and I had nothing to write. Nothing was flowing, and at the time I was in my parents' house on the verge of moving back to Semenye. And like the first weekend that I was back here, the first workshop that I had in my Semenye house, I just like cooked up like half of this poem in like 10 minutes. And then I read it out because Sheena was like, okay, I need everyone to read out your drafts, and I had no draft. I had nothing. So like she's like, okay, I'm going to give you 15 minutes to collect yourself, and I wrote like half of the poem in 15 minutes. And I was like, okay, I kind of came up with this on the spot, and they were like, what? So I don't know, I feel like, so yeah, I didn't write this in my parents' house. I wrote this out, and I think it's funny that I only managed to write something after I left. I don't think that's a coincidence.
I don't think so either.
Yeah, might have been. I don't know. I mean, Akhil would know that particular workshop was like, it was a lot. Everyone was reading like their raw poetry, and it was like a mess. Half of the poems were about like parents. Yeah. So it was just a whole thing. But like, we all got this. We all got the trauma.
And all of
it's
that.
Always parents, religion, being in love. It's the cycle.
Yeah. Okay, so I don't mean to assume, but I think that in general, like, people are only really able to process stuff once they're out of that environment. So like once you got out of home, I'm sure that it was a lot easier to articulate you. But you also had someone like Sheena, who once again is a fucking legend, guiding you. Shout out to Sheena for like the 50th time on this podcast.
Go listen to Sheena's podcast too.
Yeah, fucking listen to it. But yeah, I mean that's really cool. And you said, okay, the first half took you 10 minutes. What about the second half? Like, when did you finish this poem?
After the workshop that same night, I was like, okay, because different poets have different ways of writing their poetry. Some poets like to do it bit by bit. Yeah. For me, it's like, I don't know how else to describe it, but it sounds like fucking weird. But it's like I get possessed by like this writing spirit. Everything has to come out in one go, or if not, it's not getting written.
So it's all just one shot. Do you edit them? Do you edit them after you're done?
How I edit my poems? Okay, so I guess this is delving off a bit, but you're probably gonna ask me the same question later. I started off doing poetry by doing spoken word.
Yeah.
It was never just written. I always wrote for the stage. And so because of that, I always edited my poems by just writing it, reading the fresh poem, and then on stage, I usually... When you're reading poetry on stage, sometimes the words just change.
Yeah.
The poem just changes as you go along. And then from there, I would edit it based on what felt right or what didn't feel right. And then after that, I would go up and I would read it again in the next show, and then I would edit it further, which is a kind of weird way to edit, but...
Yeah, wait, so... Do you have do you get audio recordings of it and you remember what you said, or
no,
is it just like
I come down from the stage and I take out my notes app and I just edit it straight.
Based, okay.
Most of my poems, okay, I bet no one in Knots has seen me perform live like on a stage, but for those people who have, they would know that I'm always going on stage and I'm always that one poet that's like, guys, I just wrote this. Because usually I sign up for poetry shows because I want to go see the poems, but I don't want to pay the entrance fee. Not that I don't want to pay small creators. I am just a broke college student, okay? And $20 is a lot for me because that's 2 meals. Right. So when you sign up as an open micer, you don't have to pay the entrance fee. Basically, so I would just sign up. I would have no poem in hand. I would be like raw dogging that shit. And then I would go up and then I just tell the host, can you put me after the intermission? Right. And when I'm hearing other people's poems, I get inspired. And then during the intermission, I'm like speed typing while everyone's like going to the bathroom, going out for a smoke. There's just me in the corner, like on my notes app, just like furiously typing. And then I'll just go up on stage and I'll just read that.
Wow. Man, that is... I mean, you are probably like the first person. It's not that it's not valid. It's fucking cool that you're able to come up with... It's weird, meaningful poetry that isn't just rubbish. Because your poems were pretty good to a non-poetry appreciator like me. I enjoyed it quite a lot.
Thank you. It means a lot.
Yeah. Okay. Man, you addressed the question that I was gonna ask you
I'm
after.
Sorry.
Oh my
I'm just
God.
such a good person to interview.
Okay. Have you done any gigs on campus? Because I know that you've done quite a few off campus.
Yeah. On campus, besides spoken word night, which is online.
Yeah.
Not really sure that it counts. I have done one, which was UPA Unipa Arts organized a night of music and poetry back in 2019. So that was my first time reading on campus and my last time actually. I signed up on like a whim because I was like, oh my god, poetry open mic, that's like my thing. And then I went and I outed myself in front of like a room of 50 people,
right?
Which was great. Yeah, it was fun. But then after that, I think like on campus, like the poetry scene is like, we always had spoken word night, it was always a thing, but I feel like just in general the scene isn't really poetry focused because it's, even outside, it's still very, very niche.
Yeah.
You know, so it's kind of difficult to sort of find, quote unquote, find your people. But funny enough, that's where I met 𝐏𝐸𝐬𝐿, the current president of 𝐓𝐴DS, who also just had a 𝐓𝐴DS Knots FM podcast episode come out. So only from there, then that's when I kind of started to say, okay, maybe there are a few people who do poetry here, but it was hard to really find like a group until you join Spoken Word Night. If not, it's almost impossible to really find like a group of people who really do poetry. You know?
I actually think it's the same for any art form. It's like, I think a lot of artists, regardless of genre or craft, are really introverted, right? Because it feels like a very very sensitive topic, and but more often than not, like, number one is like you think that no one will understand what you're saying, and you also don't think that there will be anyone who is like you. So a lot of the times, like, I mean, the fucking bedroom guitarist trope is endless, and I mean, I'm sure it's the same for poets as well. So what, like, when you signed up for those open mics, was it just like, okay, fuck it, I gotta go read these out now because these are meant to be performed? Like, was it on a whim, or did you have to work up the courage to go do it?
You mean the off-campus ones?
Off-campus ones.
Off-campus. I think because I started really young, okay, I don't know whether you have another question.
I was going to ask that question later, but come on,
sure.
All in one, bro.
Okay, sure. So I started doing poetry when I was like 12 or 13.
Holy shit.
For context, I'm 19 now. So it's been a while. Basically, I was homeschooled. My parents took me out of primary school early, and then they kind of dumped me in like a study group with a bunch of other kids.
Okay.
Shout out to Nabila, who was also there. She's gonna be so embarrassed hearing this. From there, one of the parents of the students there, she was an English major, and she started introducing us to poetry. And at the time, my understanding of poetry was like, oh my god, it has to rhyme and it has to be full of metaphors, and I need all of my poems rhyme. But I think even before that, when she first told us about poetry, I was scrolling through YouTube and I stumbled upon this video from this YouTube channel called Button Poetry. And if anyone listening to this has ever done poetry, you will know Button Poetry. They're like the hub for spoken word poems. I found one, I don't remember what it was called. I think it was called Lost Voices. It was like a duo poem, and like in the poem, it was basically like a black man and a girl, and when they were speaking about their experiences, they swapped places. So the guy would be speaking about the girl's experience living as a woman, and she would be voicing his experiences as a black man. And then at some parts they would read together, and then only at the end they really swapped to their quote unquote like appropriate places. And it just like, it blew my little 12-year-old mind. I was like, oh my god, racism, sexism, spoken word poetry, it was just all like hitting me at one go. And like, I guess I was old enough to kind of vaguely grasp those kind of concepts, but just seeing it on stage with that kind of confidence, I was like, oh my god. So that was my first real exposure to poetry, right? Which is why like I was kind of always a spoken word poet. Like I got introduced to the scene when I was homeschooled because that parent, she knew people in the scene. She knew like one person who used to host an open mic, Melissa. She used to host this bi-monthly spoken word open mic called If Walls Could Talk. It used to be in Bangsa. It used to be the only spoken word open mic in KL. And I was there since before they even had their first anniversary. So the place is really special to me, even though unfortunately that open mic is not being hosted anymore. And I guess reading there kind of made me think, okay, this is how I want poetry, my poetry to be done. Right. Being read. So from there, I guess it wasn't really something I had to work up to sign up for open mics. It was just something I did. And it's kind of funny because like I'm a very like soft-spoken person, I guess you would say that, and like I have horrible stage fright, like really really bad, which is ironic because I'm the head of talent for Lads, and I've performed in like a lot of stuff. If you've been to a Lads production in the past 2 years, you've seen me. But I have horrible stage fright, and I was always that kid that would always be yelled at and be told to speak up. So me finding kind of like a home on stage was something really special to me because I always felt like, the former gifted kid syndrome.
Yeah.
Of like, I will never be what I used to be, and I need to work hard. And as hard as I work, I will never be good enough. That was kind of my issue. But going into the spoken word scene and the poetry scene, it kind of felt like the only space that I didn't have to like claw my way through
and try hard.
I just like felt like I belonged there.
So, tell me a little bit more about this scene. I mean, you mentioned that you started when you were quite young, right? Like,
yeah.
So when did you start performing, and what was the reception towards you as like, quote unquote, a kid in the scene? Oh my god, it's kids in my scene. Yeah. The
first time I read was actually at like a students' poetry open mic competition. I didn't win, even though like I guess they didn't want me to win because everyone was talking about like. They were talking about things that were not personal.
Right.
And that's what people love to see kids doing. They're talking about global warming, animal abuse. What do you feel like when you look into a dog's eyes? No hate to the other people there, by the way, because we were all like 12. But then I came in and I was talking about depression. I was talking about I can't get out of bed.
That is.
And then everyone, the judges all looked at me. They were like,
someone get this kid some help, bro.
There was just silence. There was just dead silence after that. And then I didn't win. And then my teacher was pretty mad because she was like, but like you wrote about really like deep stuff, but I guess like, I don't know, maybe it was too much.
Yeah.
Especially because the other judges were parents. And I don't know how they would feel like
about their
kids hearing that kind of stuff, So I'm sorry to all their parents who were there. None of them are listening, but I have probably traumatized your children.
Imagine like when those kids went home, they're like, mommy, you used to do the same thing to me, and then they got into an argument about it.
No, I mean I didn't even talk about my parents. It was just about me and like because like
my bad.
The reality was that I don't know how bad I was back then because obviously I can't really remember. But being suddenly pulled out of school, I was an only child too, so I had no like support system. I had no friends to talk to because this was before I had a phone, before I had a laptop, before I had proper access to the internet. Right. So all I did when I was homeschooled for the first year, I was just sitting at home alone. I had no one to talk to. I had literally nothing to do because for the first year, my parents were like, okay, we're just going to let you like, quote unquote, unschool, which is kind of let go of all the things that the school system has drilled into you, which is great as a concept, but I just couldn't do it. I had no structure, and I basically fell into depression for the first time, which I couldn't even understand properly. I was too young.
You were a kid, man.
I was a kid, and it was really bad. Like that did kind of mess me up for life, but that's like unrelated. But being able to channel that for the first time after I started frantically Googling mental illness symptoms on my dad's laptop because I thought I was just really interested in psychology.
Right.
I swear I wanted to be a psychology major. Now I know I'm just depressed.
Did your parents ever look at the history and find out about it? Like, did they ever have a talk with you?
I mean, I already knew what incognito was at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But then you were probably a lot smarter than me as a kid. Because when I was a kid, I like searched up boobs on YouTube. And then my dad was like, yo, this wasn't me, Tristan.
Oh my god, me. But then like I was smart enough to on incognito and search girls kissing.
She's okay, you're fucking smart.
Wait, oh my god, that's so stupid. Oh my god. And you say you would bully me when I was a kid. I would make fun of you.
Yeah.
I would make fun of you, but this guy doesn't know this kid doesn't know what incognito is.
So, how many gigs off campus have you done?
Oh god, I can't count. I think I used to go like at least twice a month.
Holy fuck.
Like every month at my peak. So,
right.
Like definitely more than like 20.
Oh, 20. Are you a quote unquote household name now?
I wouldn't call myself a household name. Okay, wait. I didn't really answer your question because I got derailed by you saying the YouTube thing.
It's okay. It's okay. Carry on.
So back to the question was that like how like what was it like being like quote unquote like a kid in the scene? I think because I was like the only kid there,
Yeah.
really. I mean, there were the other people in my homeschooling like study group that followed me.
Nabila, right?
Yeah, Nabila and a few other people. Nabila, I'm so sorry for
Shout out to
you.
Nabila, bro. She's awesome. Nabil Baggins, my favorite TikToker.
Nabil Baggins, my favorite YouTuber.
Yeah, my favorite YouTuber. Yeah, okay.
But then I was kind of the only one who really stayed and really kept going back in by myself. But people just knew me as like, oh, look at this little girl, because everyone was
Look at this little girl.
everyone was in their 20s, right?
Oh.
And then I was like 14.
Holy shit.
Yeah, and then like, I think that's why it was so hard for me to write shit like love poems and stuff, because it's so embarrassing when you're 14 and you're reading a poem about a crush in front of a room of like working adults, bro.
Yeah.
That's embarrassing. I think I did one and they didn't make fun of me for it, but I was like, I'm never doing this again.
You could like feel it in the
I
room,
could feel
right?
it. They're like, oh,
it's
she's
so
a kid.
cute.
But then like, I think I always kind of talked about serious stuff, but even though that was kind of, there's always that, oh my god, you're so young, I feel old now, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
They always took my poetry seriously, which was a nice thing, that they never really invalidated my experiences or invalidated my trauma, which is, poetry is just trauma dumping but in a fancy way. Honestly, they you go to a poetry open mic, it's just a bunch of strangers trauma dumping,
Just people reading out tweets.
and
man,
it's
like,
great. It's great, yeah. And they never kind of shamed me for it. If anything, they were like, you know, we're lucky that there are young people like you who are starting to do poetry, so we can like, continue on the scene, you know.
Yeah.
I think as I got older, there were people who still know me even now. They've known me since I was a kid, right? So they're like, oh my god, Amanda, how old are you?
Oh my god, you're like grown up now.
They're like, oh
bro.
my god, you're in college now? Because when they met me, I was like 13. You
Ah.
know? So like, it must be a lot. But then also, since I've been going to so many open mics on my own, to some extent, people know me, like the hosts know me. Like, when you know, they always ask you to give like a short bio so they can introduce you. Even when my bio is only like 2 to 3 lines, this is not a flex, by the way, I'm just saying that like, when they read out my bio, they'll also add on like, yeah, and this is someone that I've seen do poetry like a lot, and she's grown a lot, that kind of thing. And it's nice, you know. It kind of feels like I'm being like taken care of in a way, but also not that I'm belittled. But there is sometimes still a little bit of that disconnect of like, because they've known me since I was a kid, when they go out and they do, you know, quote unquote adult stuff, like, I guess because a lot of them have known me since I was young, even if they haven't known me all the way when I just started, even at like 16, 17,
right?
There's a little bit of disconnect where when they, you know, after the event, after the open mic is over, they go downstairs for like drinks or something, or they
smoke.
hang out. They hang out with the mama and they smoke and stuff, which is like, I'm generally not invited to those kind of things, even though I know everyone, because they still kind of see me as like, oh, you're so young.
Yeah.
Even though there is like 1 or 2 people there who are not much older than me, but because they've known each other since they were like already a little bit older, they kind of fit into the more adult side of things.
Do you expect to get the same treatment if you go back now? Like, now that you're a little bit older?
I'm not too sure. I guess because it's been a while and everything has been closed for a long while. I would hope that they would kind of see me more as like, hey, she's her own person now. Yeah. She's not like a child anymore. But also,
hope so.
I would hope so. I would hope to get taken seriously, but I also do appreciate that like, I'm always taken seriously in a poetry context.
So you were never infantilized. I don't know if that's how you...
Infantilized, not really.
Okay.
In terms of the things I spoke about, even when I spoke about serious things like, you know, mental illness, mostly mental illness,
depression,
mostly mental illness.
Okay.
It was always a serious topic.
Is there any semblance of gatekeeping in the scene that you have felt curious?
Not that I know of. I think just because the scene as a whole is so niche, there's not much to gatekeep.
Right.
Because there's barely anyone there. You know, the circle is so small. It's like, you know one person, they know everyone.
Yeah.
You know?
I feel like it's the same for any art scene as
Yeah,
well. Because
I mean,
it's
is
like,
it the
you're
same
one
in,
of
like-
us now.
Is
I'm
it
going to
the
go
same-
introduce you to everyone,
Yeah, the
bro.
same in like the metal scene. It's
Yeah,
like,
or any music scene. It's just like, oh my god, you guys know Senja? Oh my god, like I know those guys, and then it's like, oh, we actually know everyone
Yeah,
from this band and
it's-
this band and this band. And
It's basically the same thing. It's like you meet one person and you're like, oh, you know this person too, and then you follow this new person on Instagram. And you're like, oh my god, you're mutuals with like all of these people
Yeah.
that I know. It's a whole thing, and it's not the worst. There's kind of nothing to gatekeep because everyone just knows each other.
yeah.
You know? Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay. That's very heartwarming to hear. Fuck, I can't remember my questions now. So we've talked about you going to the scene and everything, but I am curious, how has the whole spoken word thing translated to your current job? For lads, job is such a formal your role with lads.
Okay, well, head of talent in Lads basically entails organizing all the workshops and the plays and festivals of Lads, alongside head of theater, which shout out to head of theater Carmen. I guess the main thing that translates over is just experience. Generally, if you've been on stage in any capacity enough times, it counts as experience. You know, so it helps when I get to talk to people, especially because we always say Lads is kind of the stepping stone for beginners, right? We always say that you don't need experience, just show up and we'll guide you. And I think it helps because I very much remember being a beginner. I still I don't consider myself like a senior just because I have a lot of experience.
Yeah.
I very much know that feeling of being terrified and being like scared to try something new or stage fright, which I feel like every single day of my life. So it's a bit easier to connect with them on that level. And when I'm planning workshops, I say, okay, what can I do? Like, let's say in terms of ice-breaking games that will not scare the beginner participants too much, you know. Will they be like, oh my god, I can't embarrass myself in front of people, so how do we make it really beginner friendly, you know, that kind
Make
of
it really
thing.
like a safe space.
Yeah.
And I will say your workshops are good. I've been the loyal soccer mom that's been
Yes.
showing up to every workshop
Thank
just to
you.
go and support Amanda. And
Thank you.
even though she bullies me in these workshops, they're pretty good.
Thank you.
I'm not sure if you guys are running any more next semester.
We are.
Then since you are, fucking go for it. If you're someone who's listening and is like, oh, I want to try poetry or I want to try directing, go to a workshop. They do a really good job. Even their juniors, Mick and Pei Xuan, do a really good job.
Yes.
Everyone in Lads is friendly. I could shit talk about Elon Musk when I was putting on a role, and if it felt really good, really good. So go to those workshops. I wanted to go and say, like, do you feel that there's a limit of experience on campus? Because from my experience as a musician, because of the gear and quite frankly, like the knowledge of some of the organizers on campus, it's like you can only go so far. And the moment that you go off campus, your standards are raised to the roof. It's like, it doesn't even have to be like a bar. Like you can just go to like another university. And this is definitely me shit talking about the organizers here. I'm just going to be straight up. The organization here is shit. And at least from my experience, how do I phrase this? It's like the standards are there, but once you go off campus and you come back, it's like no comparison at that point. There's like a ceiling for you.
Yeah.
Do you ever feel like that?
I think it's difficult to gauge in terms of poetry specifically, just because we have like a single poetry event on campus. So you can't really compare it. Also because I've only been to the one this year and it was online.
Right.
But I will say that it is a bit different from music compared to poetry, where there's a lot of a lot more technical aspects involved in it, like mixing and stuff. For poetry, generally, at most, you'll have like a really soft backing track.
Okay.
And most of the time, it's just a mic, you know, so it's not as difficult to organize. But also, in terms of theater, I don't think, like for me personally, I wouldn't want to compare like a non-student led thing compared to a student led thing, especially because on campus there are a lot of restrictions that we have to follow. There are a lot of guidelines, and there are a lot of things that have to go through multiple stages of approval. And
you and I both know that very well.
Things have to be cut down, and it's kind of unfair to compare it on the same level as something outside, just because there's a whole different set of rules. It's like a completely different ballgame out there, you know. Like, I can't expect there to be as many poets showing up to a poetry open mic on campus compared to if I went outside. You know, that kind of thing. I mean, that's generally my train of thought, but I'm sure like other people have other experiences as well.
And I think it's very different depending on which form of art you do as well. I do want to ask though, how is campus as a platform for a poet, like in terms of reach or finding like-minded people? Or specifically, I mean, lads, you know, like it could be lads or any other event on campus. Like, how is it like as a platform to reach like-minded people?
Not too bad, honestly. I feel like this isn't shading other universities, by the way, but I feel like it would be much harder to find like-minded people in other universities. I just feel like Nottingham as a campus, I don't know whether it's because we're in like the middle of fucking nowhere.
I think it does have to do with the geography of it.
I think it also helps that because we're in the middle of nowhere and there's like nothing to do here, all the clubs almost every single club is active in some capacity. I think that helps because I have a lot of friends who go to universities in the city, and because there's so many things around, right? None of the clubs are active. I don't want to say it.
That is all we're saying. We're only saying
y'all know what colleges I'm talking about. And generally, like most of the clubs there are not active, just because there's so many other extracurricular things to do. Why would I spend my after school hours sitting in a club room when I could go to the mall?
Or you could go to like a pyramid-shaped mall.
A very specific mall with like a sphinx in the front.
It's really fucking weird, but I know what you mean. So there is a community on campus.
On campus, I think best because it's like, would I call it a survival instinct? Just because if you have no clubs, there's nothing to do. Like, what are you gonna do? You're gonna walk around, you're gonna feed the ducks, you're gonna get chased by the geese, find a monitor lizard in your bathroom. I don't know.
Whoa.
I mean, like, apparently that was a thing. Someone found a monitor lizard in your bathroom.
What the fuck?
I don't know, man. We have a zoo. Sunway
is a concrete zoo, man.
Sunway has a cultivated zoo. Our animals aren't in cages. They're free. Anyways.
And the animals are the students. But yeah, I mean, okay, I think one thing, like probably like the only thing that I like about the on-campus scene is that everyone's around the same age. Like, you won't have some like 50-year-old uncle walking in, and I mean, it's not that I'm trying to gatekeep like, oh, there's no old people in the metal scene, because let's be real, like fucking 90% of the metal scene is just old like Malay uncles, and there's nothing wrong with that. It's just that when you're someone who's new, you might feel outcast because someone has like a lot of experience or something, and there's just something like comforting about seeing, let's say, someone my age walk into a room with like a bass, and I'm like, holy shit, he probably listens to the same music as me. Not in my case, because but like probably someone else. I think that's probably like the only thing that I
very
like about
much so. It was always like back to the whole me starting poetry and having that huge age gap with everyone else, right? I think one of the best things about coming to campus, and also I guess also getting older in general, is finding people my age who have similar interests, because back then it's like I could only hang out with like 25-year-olds. Which was like weird. I'm sure they kind of felt like they were babysitting me. But they also like never really held back on like swear words and stuff. So thanks to them. But coming here and actually, it took time. But being able to find people who have the same interests as me, as like who like theater, who do poetry, that kind of thing, and they're all around my age. Albeit I'm still usually the youngest person.
Yeah.
But it'd be like
you are the youngest person in this room right now.
Yeah, I am. God damn it. But I mean, like, I don't know, because when you enter college, age isn't really like a thing anymore.
Yeah.
It's not really something, but like, oh my god, you're so much younger than me. Like, one of my closest friends, she's like 25. And she's one of the nicest people I've met on campus. Shout out to Sophie. And age was never like an issue between us, Yeah. So
wait, she's 25?
Yes, she
Oh my
is.
god. Oh my god, she was in my car just now. Oh my god. Okay.
Bro, don't be ageist.
Oh my god, I'm fucking ageist.
Tristan,
But
cancel.
yeah, cancel. But yeah, okay. That's really, really cool. And I mean, how does it? Okay, very, very weird question coming from me. But do you ever feel like people look at your age like on campus because you're probably younger than, let's say, most people in lads?
Yeah.
Okay, like, do you ever feel like when, let's say, you're directing someone or you're giving someone like, basically like you're like commanding them like, yo bro, can you like do this for me or something? Do you ever feel like, oh, she's just a kid, man, she doesn't know what she's fucking talking about?
Man.
Like, do you ever get that?
I don't know if that is actually what happened, but I've definitely had that fear and that inferiority complex because, okay, so when I was in foundation, I signed up to be a director for One I Play Festival for Lads, which is coming next semester, by the way, guys. You should sign
Great
up.
event, I went, please go. Very cool things.
So I signed up to be a director and I did not. So how OAPF works is usually students will submit their scripts and then they can choose whether they want to direct their own script or they want to let the script go and have someone else direct it.
Okay.
Almost like 90% of all the plays there were directed by the script writers, except for me and one other play. And the script that I got was from 2 year 3 students.
Whoa.
I was a foundation kid at the time. So they trusted me with their script because I got assigned to it by the head of theatre at the time, or head of theatre at the time, Aish. She assigned me that script and she was like, I really think you can do this. And I was like, no, I absolutely can't. So the script was written by 2 final year students, and then I had to cast people. The 2 people I casted were also both final year students.
Whoa.
So I was basically working in a team of like only final year students, and then there was me. And it was really scary because they've all had experience. Like the script writers, they are both English with creative writing students. Shout out to Andrew and Shizan. They're both creative writing students, so obviously they're really good at what they do, script writing. And then the 2 actors, they are both experienced. Like they've been in stuff off campus, that kind of acting experience. And I just felt like I was just me. Like I directed 1 short play in high school. That was it. I've acted maybe twice. So it was like frankly like kind of horrifying. Every time I would step into a room, I just felt like, oh god, like maybe they're not gonna tell me, hey, I think your directing sucks, but maybe they're thinking it.
Yeah.
To this day, I don't actually know what they were thinking.
Okay.
But I definitely struggled with that, like, oh, they're gonna think I'm just some foundation kid,
Right.
who's just trying her best to direct people, but ultimately she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, But I don't know if anyone who did go to 2019 OAPF Night 1 and you saw that horrifying play where it was supposed to be like an advertisement, but it turned out to be not. It was actually a play in disguise. I am so sorry.
Yeah. So the off-campus experience of these actors, are we talking KL Pack levels?
Yeah, KL Pack, or one of them. She, the female actress, she is a transfer student, so she's acted in like kind of short films overseas.
Holy shit. Okay.
Yeah, she travels a lot, that kind of thing. So
Okay. Very weird question. Do you ever feel like
second time you said that?
Yes. I mean, do you ever feel like those actors that have so much experience kind of end up directing themselves, or they direct in a way that you couldn't imagine because they've got the experience? And has that helped you as a director, like seeing different perspectives?
I think definitely I went in thinking I'm probably going to be learning more from them than they're going to learn from me. But I guess because I approached it in like, okay, I know they have more experience than me, so I will want to take pointers from them. but I also need them to know that I'm still the director.
I'm still the boss.
Yeah, you know, like I still call the shots for the most part. If let's say we really come to a disagreement, they'll have to listen to me. It took me a while to get used to it, but ultimately it never really came down to like,
To that, yeah.
okay, fuck you, you don't do that, you listen to me. I never got to that point, but I wanted it to be a very collaborative space, because
Right.
the play was actually like 90% monologue by the guy.
Yeah.
So because of that, I kind of worked with him a lot, because he was very experienced and he is a good actor. I very much discussed with him, like, okay, I want you to read out the scene first before I tell you what direction to go, because I
Right.
wanted to see
How he would interpret it, yeah.
Yes, and then from there, if it was a little bit different, then we would kind of work on it in between. I'm like, okay, I liked what you did here, and then I would say, okay, what I envision for this part is like this, and then we would kind of come to an in-between. It helped also that he was the kind of actor who really liked to push himself. So when I would give him something that was a bit different from what he envisioned, he kind of liked it, because he was like, okay, I get to try something else.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of thing.
It's kind of like being in a band, actually. Oh my god.
Oh, Worm?
Yeah, it's
Worm?
very, very similar to being in a band. It's
Yeah.
like, I bring you an idea and how you interpret it is different. Blah, blah,
Yeah,
blah,
I
blah,
mean,
blah.
that's generally my approach to directing. In general, I mean, back in high school, I did something similar, although more commanding, because my two
Yeah.
actors were like completely beginners. But especially more so now with the upcoming Let's Play Swordfish and Concubine, I'm co-directing with the head of theatre, 𝐏𝐸𝐚𝐬. And so there's definitely a lot of collaboration there, where we both will ask each other like, okay, how do you see this part? What do you think about this? Especially when we were deciding on the cast, deciding who we think would fit what role, whether we wanted to cast a certain person or not. So it's a lot of just, we each put an idea forward, and then we both figure out how to meet in the middle.
Right.
Yeah, it's basically just that over and over again.
Okay. When you say meeting in the middle, does that mean compromise, in the sense that I have to let go of some of my vision, or is it always like, okay, is it a compromise, or is it like a synergize? I don't know if you know what I mean.
I
but
get what you
yeah.
mean. I get what you mean. In terms of me directing for OAPF, it's a bit of compromise. A bit of compromise, especially because my actor was also he's very what's the word? Strong-minded. That's the word.
Yeah.
Because also he has experience and things like that. So it is a little bit of compromise on my side, but I always made sure not to compromise too much.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to kind of
Become a pushover.
I didn't want to be stepped on, you know. It's like not in that way.
Oh my fuck it. Okay.
Yeah, I didn't want to be like a carpet, you know.
Yeah,
Like I didn't
okay.
want to be a doormat that's just like, yeah, I can do whatever I want because the director listens to me. But it was very much like a collaboration where when I was looking for sound cues, I would edit them and I would let the actors listen to it. And I'd be like, what do you think? Do you think this sounds creepy? And he's like, yeah, I think it's creepy, but I think you should slow it down more. I'm like, yeah, okay. You know, that kind of thing. Because
Yeah.
directing alone is hard, man. It's hard.
It is,
and
yeah.
sometimes when you need someone to bounce ideas off, it's great to have actors who have more experience than you, because they can help you in that aspect, because they can give you suggestions when you're stuck. In terms of directing right now for Swordfish and Concubine, though, it's definitely more synergy than compromise. It helps a lot that Carmen and I are almost always on the same wavelength. Like we were like, okay, we need to have a meeting to discuss our visions so we don't accidentally direct two different ways.
Yeah.
But like after we had auditions, every single time we wanted to say something, we were all thinking the same thing. So we kind of have that natural synergy, which is really good. So
It's been good so far.
yeah. So
touch wood.
touch
so far.
wood.
So far.
yeah, you know, like
There's no shade on you, Carmen. I'm kidding.
I mean, it's like so far it's just a lot of synergy and less on like, oh, I have to sacrifice something. You know? Yeah, we're very much on the same wavelength, which is good, you know. It's good because directing is hard. It's nice to have someone with me, you know, for the ride.
Doing anything on your own is fucking hard, because like once you hit a brick wall, it's like shit. And in my experience, it's like even if someone isn't as experienced as you, it's like sometimes they're okay. Naivety isn't the word, but they're inexperienced to like go and try out random shit. It's like whoa, what the fuck? I never thought about this. It's like sometimes like it's so simple it works. You know?
Exactly.
Yeah. Same thing happens with music. But let's talk a little bit more about Swordfish and Concubine.
I see. Okay. So
we are okay. You're gonna be going for rehearsals. It's the first one after
it's
this,
a
right?
Table read.
So they're gonna be going for a table read after this, and let's just talk a little bit more about the whole audition process and planning it. Like, actually, let's just start from like the start. How the fuck did you guys pick Swordfish as Concubine as a play, and then how did you say, okay, this is gonna be the script? We need to retain these characters from the original, and so on and so forth, and just walk me through the whole thing, bro.
Okay, so Carmen did a bit of the heavy lifting in the beginning.
Okay.
So we had like a set list of scripts that we already had. So for lads, when we do it used to be called the autumn play because it was in autumn, but now it's called the local play because we're doing it in spring.
Yeah.
Okay. So in case anyone is confused, this is the formerly autumn play. We always did local scripts, and lads kind of had like an archive of like local scripts that we didn't end up using.
Right.
So we kind of just picked from there. Like Carmen was like, okay, like we have these like 4 to 5 scripts, and then she sent it to me, and we're like, okay, let's both read through it, and then we can decide together. And then we both ended up deciding on Swordfish and Concubine just because we really liked the commentary on it, because it's political commentary, especially relevant right now. So we both decided on that, and then from there we had to ask the playwright for permission. So Carmen did that because we were supposed to stage this like a few years ago, but it didn't come through, so we ended up staging another script. So now we could just re-email the author and be like, hey, remember what we said last time?
Can we like do it this time?
Yeah,
instead,
can we do it now? And then he said yes, and he already staged this script before. I don't remember where. I think it was at 𝐏𝐸𝐴𝐵, but it was staged before, and he directed it. So the script that we have basically has the cast list and the characters of his version of the play. So the way we chose the characters is in like, because his play has a lot of side characters as well. So even in his script, pretty much every actor was double casted.
Right.
So we kind of, the basic guideline we had was we followed the way he double casted. So this main character, whoever gets this role also gets this role and this role. Okay. Yeah, and then from there we kind of had to count like, okay, how many people do we need? What's the minimum? What is, like, there's no maximum, but like, what is the minimum number of people that we need, and things like that. And then the way we plan it was, I know some directors like to lay everything out first beforehand. So cast list, production, like props list, set design, costumes, everything done beforehand. For us, we're kind of doing things one step at a time. So we decided to tackle auditions first. And so we had live auditions in the SA building at H1
classroom.
The classroom, something like that. And it was wild because we haven't had live anything literally in like 2 years. Like, I haven't done any live event on campus since I was in like foundation, and I'm year 2 now, so that's a lot.
Congratulations.
I mean, Tristan was like in year 1 when I was in foundation. Now he's a final year student.
Yeah, it's fucked up.
He's old as hell.
Fucked up. Shut up, man.
it's fucked up. Like so being back in the room, we were like, oh my god, it's so like surreal.
It feels really weird.
It's so surreal, but like it was nice because Carmen and I had each other for like emotional support.
Nice.
And also, on the first day of auditions, we had so few people. We were worried that like, oh no, what if we can't even afford to pick and choose? What if we'll just have to cast everyone? You know, and we always want quality, right? So we're like, oh no, like what happens if we don't get like the people we need for these roles and things like that. But then by the second day, we got like a bunch of on the spot sign-ups.
Okay.
And then by the third day of auditions, we had too many people. Like,
That's
actually
good, yeah.
too many people. So originally we were thinking, okay, we can have a cast of minimum 10 people, and then we'll try to double cast as much as we can.
Yeah.
If you want to know our current cast list, which is a full cast and everyone already accepted the roles, we have 18 people.
Nice.
Which is a lot. We've never had a Let's Play with this many cast members before.
Mm-hmm.
The fact that we managed to get them and they're all like...
talented.
They're all really talented is like great. And honestly, shout out to my friends for pulling through, because they've always been like, when I was so active in Lads in Foundation, they're always like, oh Amanda, I'm so jealous lah. I always wanted to try acting. I always wanted to try directing, and then they like never show up when I invite them. So this time I was like, guys, like, we have so few people, you guys should come. It's like low commitment, I swear. And then they all came and signed up, and then they all got in.
Let this be on the record. Amanda tried to bully me into
acting.
acting.
Yeah, sure. I mean, it's not even nepotism, like, oh, I casted my friends just because I wanted them to get in. Like they came through to support me, and they all ended up being like really, really talented and suited for the roles, even though they've never acted before. So like,
Right.
whoever is listening, when One Act Play Festival comes around and we need actors again or directors, and you're scared, like, oh my god, I've never done this before.
Just
How
go
do I
and have
do this?
fun,
Like,
man.
just try out. You'll surprise yourself, I swear. And also, Carmen and I will be there to guide you and be your theater parents.
Yeah. Amanda's not a very intimidating person, so she's one of the kindest persons I know. So
Oh my god, Tristan being nice to me.
shut up. So if you're nervous about it, please just fucking go and have fun, you know, because I mean, I've been to Lads events before, and just like the overall atmosphere, even if you're a complete beginner, as you've mentioned before, it's just fun. I went to, I don't know if it was an acting workshop
You
in
went to
year
the
one.
acting and the directing workshop.
No, in year one.
Oh, year one.
So it's like we were doing like breathing exercises, and it's like, and then we had to test our projection, and then we were like running around and like in the room. This was before COVID, okay? And I mean, yeah, it was. I know fuck all about acting. I know fuck all about directing, or like even how to quote unquote brief properly for say. But I had fun. It was really inviting, and that just made me want to keep. Okay, I'll be honest. I'll probably never audition for a role because I'm too scared. Okay, and I don't have enough time. But but yeah. Go to any Lads event and you'll have fun.
Yeah. If we got Tristan, like the guy who's just always playing guitar and not joining other events, to actually say Lads events are really fun, like,
Yeah.
it means you guys should join.
Yeah, you guys should probably try, especially if you have an interest in acting and no experience.
Yeah, especially if you have no experience, because we always need, as Akhil likes to say, Akhil, lovely president, likes to say, fresh meat.
Oh,
We always
I thought he was gonna say like virgin actors or
no,
something.
no, no, we don't do that here.
Okay, good.
Yeah, I mean, like, we always need new people to come in, because eventually whoever is in charge now is going to graduate, and
Yeah.
and then new people will have to come and step up and continue whatever we've started. So
Yeah.
I think after like the campus arts and club scene in general kind of just died over the past year, I was really like, Carmen and I were really worried that we wouldn't be able to get people interested in events anymore, especially because our workshops have been online.
Yeah.
But then like we got like an overwhelming response, like more people than even when we had face-to-face workshops, which is like crazy, man, because it's so great seeing like the scene kind of come back to life.
Let's talk a little bit more about that, actually. Sorry to go and cut you off,
Yeah,
but
it's okay.
I mean, to be completely honest with you, anyone who was here like in 2019 and then got fucked over like the moment that like COVID hit, I think that almost all of their motivation is out of the window. But all of the enthusiastic ones are like the new students, like the foundations and the year ones. And right now I guess some of the year twos as well. Like a lot of the people in the workshops that I've been to were new faces. A lot of the new DAG members as well, like the ones who are really active and quite frankly hyper are the new students as well, and I guess it's because they haven't been exposed to it before, and they're like, I really want to act, bro, and it just I really like that a lot.
We need people like that, honestly. Even though we're all like tired year 2s and year 3s, like we need
it
new
is quite
people.
Inspirational.
We need new people. I'm like, wow, where did that energy go? I used to be
I used to be this loud. I used to be this energetic.
I feel old, bro. But it's like, I mean, like when I was in foundation, I was like, I'm gonna sign up for everything.
Yeah.
You know, and then I got burnt out and I got a fever. You know, but it's like, we need that kind of enthusiasm now. Yeah, sign up for everything. Catch a cold, stay in bed for a week, and then sign up for everything again. Like, I don't care, you know? Like, if you have the enthusiasm, especially because you're stuck at home for so long, and you're like, oh my god, I've broken free from my house.
Yeah.
I get to sign up for clubs now.
You also have a lot of time now, so if you're one
especially because you
student,
don't have your
spend it
parents
well,
like
man.
making you do chores every day or something if you live on campus.
Yeah.
So it's like people want to spend time doing things, and usually if you're not in class, the only other things that you can do besides hanging out with your friends is joining clubs.
Yeah.
Okay. That's fucking cool. I need to go and think of something else. We can edit this part out later, but I'm just thinking now. Okay, is there anything that you want to talk about? Anything that you want to bring up or plug? This is not the end of the episode yet, but I was just wondering, like, any events you want to plug for lads, any shows that you might be going to off campus, if that's even a thing.
Oh god, if it is a thing, someone please let me know, because I have not seen any as of late.
You should probably talk to kimchi about it. Be like,
I follow all the Instagram pages and they're not active.
Okay,
I will find out.
But yeah, Swordfish and Concubine is next
Swordfish and
semester,
Concubine,
right?
yes. Swordfish and Concubine is coming up in February of the spring semester, and it's going to be exciting. It's going to be our first major event live, like face to face on campus, because Spoken Word Night was still online, and we are very excited for it. Very much looking forward to it. If you've never seen a Lads play, especially if you're a new student and you have not experienced a Lads event, then look forward to that. Tickets are affordable, I swear. I know we're all students, we're not going to overcharge you. It's going to be a great experience, and you know, who knows, that might inspire you to sign up for One Act Play Festival, which will be after that.
Hopefully.
Yes,
yeah.
yes, hopefully, because you must.
You must.
We need people. Yeah.
Can you give our 16 loyal listeners an insight into the ticket prices? Like, how much are you planning to charge? Be completely honest. Or have you guys not thought about it yet?
Okay, I'm gonna be honest. We're not that far into planning yet.
Okay, completely understandable.
Yeah, but it's definitely affordable. Like, we're definitely not gonna charge you like $30 for one ticket or something like that. Yeah, definitely it'll be lower than that. But in terms of any exact numbers, I can't really I can't really promise anything right now because it's a bit early. Yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, I honestly don't have any more questions. Amanda's plugged everything. I do want to say that if you've made it to the end of this podcast, I'm reaching out to 2 target markets or audiences right now, okay? If you are a poet and you like poetry and you need a platform, reach out to me or anyone in Lads. We can get you on this fucking podcast. We can get you to read out your poems, and we can talk for a bit if you want. But if you don't want to, you can just read out your stuff. Secondly, if you are a Knots FM host, or if you signed up to be one, and you're still unsure... Oh, no, actually, wait. Cut this second part out. I'm going to go and rephrase it. If you are interested in being a host for Knots FM, please reach out to me. So far, Knots FM is kind of turning into Tristan and Friends. It's just been me, Amanda, and Noel recording. I think that some of the other people who had really good ideas are busy. I'm not going to shit on them for not committing. But yeah, if you're interested in that, please send me a message on Discord, Instagram, run up to my house, break down my door and say, Tristan, I want to join Knots FM. Yeah, so I mean, if you're interested in any of that, please do shoot me a message. And on that note, thank you, Amanda.
Thank you. Any final plugs that I can drop?
You can put your own Instagram if you want to.
Yeah, wait, I'm gonna shout out lads first. Okay, everyone go follow at UNMC lads on Instagram. Our lovely head of PR Grace makes like really great designs, especially the Swordfish and Concubine poster was really pretty. And my Instagram at the meme friend on Instagram.
The meme friend.
Meme like MEME.
Yeah.
The meme friend, no spaces, no dots. That's me. If you want to reach out, like, you want to ask questions about lads, about the production, about our upcoming shows, or just what it's like being in lads, if you're interested in joining, just like honestly shoot me a DM. If Tristan says I'm not intimidating, it means I'm not intimidating.
Yeah.
I am honestly, like, honest to God, like the least intimidating person ever.
Yeah.
So yeah, like don't be scared to reach out to me. We always want new people in lads. We're always very much open to answering any questions. So yeah.
Yeah, I guess that's it. Thank you, Amanda, for coming on, and I hope that we get more episodes from the Lads Committee in the future because I really like your insights. Thanks, Amanda.
Thank you.